Story 1. When I was in college, I used to work for Walmart, initially as a courtesy clerk. The town I lived in easily exceeded 100 degrees F. During the summer months, by state law the store had to give us a 5-minute break inside to cool down after 2 rounds of collecting carts, and provide us with beverages so we can stay hydrated. The beverage they usually gave us was Gatorade. This is relevant to the story. After working a couple of hours, it was time for me to take my first official 15-minute break. I filled a cup with Gatorade and proceeded to make my way to the break room. There was a bit of a blind spot walking past the registers, so I stopped and looked both ways down the aisle to make sure I wouldn't accidentally bump into anyone. The closest person to me was one of our regular shoppers, an older lady, the Karen of this story, who had amyotrophic lateral sclerosis or Lou Gehrig's disease. The same condition Stephen Hawking had. Because of this, she had to use an electric wheelchair and lived at a local assisted living center. Due to her condition, there were 2 rules she had to follow whenever she shopped at the store in order to prevent accidental collisions with people. She must always be accompanied by an employee from the assisted living center whenever she shopped at the store. She had to keep the wheelchair's speed to one of the lowest settings. Knowing these rules, and seeing how far down the aisle she was, I knew I could get across quick enough before she got anywhere near me. After taking a step or 2 out into the aisle, I noticed 2 things. She was not being accompanied by an employee from the assisted living center. She was driving her wheelchair much faster than she was supposed to. She was on a collision course with me, so instinctively I tried to jump back out of the way to avoid getting hit. But it was too late. She hits me while I was in the air. I fell to the ground and spilled my Gatorade all over the wheelchair. The lady loses control of the chair and starts spinning around in circles. She's flailed her arms and screamed with what limited mobility she had, and nearly hit me a second time, but I managed to roll out of the way. I knew I had to try and stop her before she hit someone else, so I grabbed a handlebar on the back of the wheelchair, hoping I could at least slow her down. This didn't work. Instead, she dragged me around in circles in the middle of the aisle. Several co-workers and shoppers quickly rushed in and stopped the lady, who seemed to be okay, just startled. But when I tried to stand up, 2 male shoppers held me down. One of them leaned over me and said, "You're going to be all right, sir. Everything is going to be just fine." He turned his head and yelled, "I need a first aid kit." I could hear a lady in the background scream, "Oh my God. Somebody call 911. I just laid there and wondered what the hell happened to me. Sure, I was going to have a nice bruise on my hip from when I hit the floor, but besides that I felt fine. I quickly discovered why the customers were panicking. The flavor of the Gatorade we had that day was fruit punch. Some of it splashed on my face when the lady hit me. The customers who witnessed the incident thought I busted my head open when I hit the ground. I had to assure them that it was not blood, it was just Gatorade, and that I was fine. A member of management eventually showed up to document the incident. After I gave him my statement, I was finally able to take my break. I was even given an extra 5-10 minutes so I could clean up and recuperate from what had just happened. This was where I thought this story would end. I was wrong. A couple of weeks later, I was called back to the manager's office. The store manager, who will call Kate not her real name, and several assistant managers were in there waiting for me. Kate told me to take a seat and asked if I remembered the incident from a few weeks ago with the handicapped lady in the electric wheelchair and the Gatorade. I just chuckled and said, "How can I forget? Kate, that lady was just in my office, and she had a lawyer. She wanted to sue the store, claiming that she suffered mental distress from that incident. And as part of her lawsuit, she wanted your employment with the company terminated, claiming that you were the one responsible for the collision." I was speechless. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. But Kate quickly put my mind at ease by saying, "Kate, don't worry, you're not in any trouble." We showed the lady and her lawyer the security footage from the incident. I reminded her of the rules she knew she had to follow whenever she shopped at the store to prevent collisions from happening, but she decided to break them anyways. And that she should consider herself lucky that she hit a store employee who only suffered a minor injury, because if she had hit another customer, and that customer suffered a serious injury, she would be held responsible for the collision and would have a major lawsuit on her hands. The assisted living center would also be at fault for somehow allowing her to leave the center on her own without their notice. But if she still wanted to sue, she can try, but she will not win. Karen's lawyer knew they didn't have a snowball's chance in hell of winning this one, so the two of them left. Kate said that since I was the employee involved in this incident, she thought I would want to know what the handicapped Karen attempted to do, and that I would get a kick out of it. I'll admit, it does add a nice punchline to the story, but I wished I was in the manager's office to witness the Karen and her lawyer's encounter with Kate and the rest of the store's managers. Story 2. Hello once more. This is yet another wild story of mine. As you know, I've had my fair share of entitled people crossing my path. I will definitely be writing about this later. Again, I just remembered this story from years ago, and oh my goodness, let me tell you, this woman for all the kid-friendly channels that use my stories was completely unreasonable. Once more, apologies in advance if this story gets a little long. This happened when I was in 3rd grade. Also, don't be too harsh on the entitled mom in this story. I found out years later that she had some personal issues and only received treatment years after this incident. At the time, her family didn't know, though they suspected something because she was apparently more difficult with her older children, who moved out once they turned 18. That's just a little background. Now on to the story. At the time, I must have been around 9 years old, which, if you're like me, is a period you barely remember. My class was going on a field trip to the aquarium. It's a very popular one, and as a matter of fact, many people come to my state specifically to visit it. For this story, I'll call it the Big Gorgeous Aquarium. My school took the 3rd grade class there every year, and I had been looking forward to this trip for what felt like ages. So, of course, when the date for the field trip was announced, I was beyond excited. Side note, back in elementary school, my mom usually volunteered to be a chaperone for trips, but unfortunately, she couldn't for this one. I was a little sad when she told me, but I thought it would be fine because my friend, let's call her the entitled daughter, said her mom was going to be a chaperone. I figured it would be fun since the entitled daughter and I were close back then, and I hoped I'd be assigned to their group. Fast forward to the day of the trip, I was so excited. I met some of my friends' parents and couldn't wait for the groups to be announced. But then, I was placed in the entitled mom's group. Let me describe her appearance. She smelled bad, as if she hadn't showered in days. Her clothes were stained and messy, and her makeup was smeared and poorly reapplied. Imagine lip liner smudged towards her chin and mascara applied way too thickly. Her eyeliner was a mess. To top it off, her hair looked like it hadn't been cared for in quite some time. My younger self had a strong feeling something wasn't right with her. The way she spoke to her daughter was sweet, but when she turned to the kids in her group, she treated us like we were beneath her. Honestly, if she could, I think she might have thrown us on the ground just to get rid of us. I felt incredibly uncomfortable being anywhere near her. I tried to be polite and introduce myself, but she just scoffed and rolled her eyes. I considered switching groups, but we were told that wasn't an option. I convinced myself it would be fine since my whole friend group, including the entitled daughter, was with the entitled mom. So, we hopped on the bus. I tried to sit next to the entitled daughter. The bus was fancy with 3 seats per row, and they were pretty comfortable. The entitled mom was already seated, and the entitled daughter was sitting next to her. The entitled daughter called me over to sit with them, but as soon as I got close, the entitled mom glared at me and said, "No. Just no." I kid you not. She practically treated me like a dog, refusing to let me sit next to her daughter. She could have at least explained why, but she didn't. Feeling awkward, I sat somewhere else, and when I talked to my friends, they all agreed that the entitled mom was strange. But we shrugged it off, because what could we really do? Tell the teacher our chaperone was weird and get her sent away? The entitled mom started bad-mouthing the other kids to her daughter, and you could see the entitled daughter starting to feel uncomfortable too. Finally, we made it to the aquarium, and as soon as we got off the bus, the entitled mom began complaining. She said things like, "I don't understand why we had to come all the way here," and "This trip is pointless," and "I'm never doing this again." It went on and on. I felt uneasy but wasn't sure if she was talking to her daughter or to herself. As it turned out, she thought she was talking to one of the other parents, but they clearly felt uncomfortable and stopped engaging with her. We went straight to lunch, and as soon as we finished, the entitled mom called the entitled daughter entitled for still being hungry. The entitled daughter was underweight and sometimes had to bring items with her to the doctor to help with her weight. The entitled mom made us sit there for 15 more minutes so she could finish scrolling on her phone and eating her lunch. After that, we started walking around the aquarium, and for a moment, the entitled mom stopped complaining until we asked to visit certain exhibits. Every time we asked to go somewhere, like the underwater petting zoo, she would say no. She even yelled at the entitled daughter for wanting to stop by the gift shop to buy a small plushie. As punishment, she declared that we wouldn't go to any gift shops or buy anything, even if we brought our own money. The only reason we ended up going to a shop was because the entitled mom saw something she wanted, and one of the other kids threatened to tell a teacher and their parent. It was a pretty small shop, but we didn't care. We were little, so we were happy with whatever. For the rest of the trip, the entitled mom continued to be unreasonable. Someone would ask to go to the turtle exhibit, and she'd take us to the underwater petting zoo instead. If someone else asked to visit the sand and seaweed education area, she'd drag us to the whale exhibit. It was like this for the remainder of the trip. I was relieved when it was finally time to leave, but of course, the entitled mom made us late because she insisted on doing something her daughter wanted. In her own words, "The bus won't leave without us, so we can take our time." Eventually, another parent had to come find us and bring us back to the bus. The entitled mom looked like she was about to throw a tantrum. We got on the bus, and while things were calmer, the atmosphere was still tense. The entitled mom complained about how entitled we were for wanting to do fun things, and she swore she'd never chaperone again. Thankfully, she didn't. When we got back to school, I tried to be polite and thanked her for the great time. She ignored me and rolled her eyes. I went home and didn't tell my parents about any of it because I was raised to never question or judge an adult or authority figure. Story 3. Major rant about my Sil. My Sil has what we call an endless credit card spending account. She's a stay-at-home mom that has a person for everything: pooper scooper, landscaper, car detailer, pool guy, house cleaner, babysitter, and my Mill lives with them and constantly helps out. Me and my husband keep joking that because she doesn't have to worry about finances or a job, she has to find something to complain about and has to create her own drama. Recently, she started to tell us how busy she is. She doesn't have time for anything, which is just pure bullshit. We live 45 minutes away and we have no kids, but we both work full-time and run 3 successful small businesses on the side, plus having 30-plus farm animals to take care of. Anytime our niece or nephew have an event like a game, school recital, or birthday party, we always try our hardest to drive down to be involved. We find ourselves driving down their average 2x per week. We oftentimes help set up birthdays, make decorations for her, etc. I even started volunteer coaching my nephew's soccer games, which is a once-a-week commitment on Thursdays. Here's where I get pissed off. My husband and I don't have many friends, and I have some issues with my family, so we're not very close to them. Most of our support comes from his mom. When we want to have special dinners like birthdays or celebrations in our town, Sil refuses to come because it's too far of a drive. We either have to have our dinner in her town, or she doesn't come, and we don't get to see our niece and nephew. Sometimes when we go out of town for a night or two, we ask Mill to dog sit house. We always offer to pay her, and she refuses most of the time. But Sil always gets pissed that my husband is the favorite, and that Mill does that for us. Mill not only babysits for Sil almost every single day after she gets off work, but she dog sits for them and helps her with anything else my Sil wants, without anything in return. Sil never even offers to pay her. My Mill will ask Sil to dog sit for her occasionally, and my Sil always refuses because she doesn't like her dogs. Often my Sil and her baby daddy will just leave the house without the kids, and my Mill is stuck watching them by force with no warning. When my Mill makes plans to come visit us for the weekend, Sil will find a million excuses for why she needs help that weekend, like she already made plans and needs a babysitter, or her baby daddy is working and she needs help, etc., just to keep Mill from coming to see us. Every holiday has to be spent at their house. I will say it's a great house for hosting, because it's huge, but sometimes we want to do stuff at our house with the family, and she always throws a fit and basically beats us to the punch by inviting everyone to her house before we do. For my nephew's soccer team pictures, they always have the coach in them. As soon as my Sil found out I was going to be in the picture as the coach, she weaseled her way into the picture as well. For the memories is what she told me, really upsetting to me, and I'm sure to all the other parents as well. She constantly sends me TikToks about things that are bad for you that she knows I do. Like candles, she sent me about 10 related videos to why candles are bad for you, because I had just purchased one last time we went shopping. She sends me videos about how bad certain foods are for you, because we like to indulge ourselves once in a while, and don't take diets too seriously. She won't let her kids have anything with dye in it or all this other random stuff, but she lets them drink Sprite at every meal, and they order Starbucks and Chic Fil A constantly. We had planned on taking a Christmas trip this year with Mill and my husband's grandpa. As soon as Sil found out, she invited herself and my husband's dad with his new wife and 3 kids. Then she complained about every location we chose until she finally decided that we should all split a rental house for $32,000 in Hawaii. We quickly told her that we will no longer be going on the Christmas vacation, and instead staying home because we cannot afford that. She's now mad that no one is going on the vacation except for her baby daddy, and their kids, if they even decide to still go. Every other vacation me and my husband have taken, she has to shit on it. We lived in FL for a short time and would go to Universal sometimes. We loved it. They went this year, and she said it was run down, gross, and boring, and that Disney was way better, and she'll never go anywhere but Disney again. We went to Amsterdam for our honeymoon, and ever since she has talked non-stop shit about it. There's probably a million instances I could cite. My husband and I try to keep the peace as much as possible because we don't want to ruin our chances of spending time with our niece and nephew, but I'm just so over it. It's impossible for her to just be happy for anyone else and not be the center of attention constantly. Story 4. I, 28M, autistic, just wanted to spend some time relaxing in our local swimming pool. I had black goggles and liked to swim underwater. I also liked to simply rest against the poolside and chill. Also, I was the only adult male without any children in this pool, which is clearly for everyone to use, shallow at one end, deep at the other, etc. I'm just resting by the poolside when a manager, not even a lifeguard, a bloody manager, comes over to me and tells me my presence and behavior is making someone uncomfortable. He explained that someone had complained that me diving underwater and simply sitting by the side of the pool was apparently unacceptable, because I was apparently doing this to peep on children. He told me this in a non-accusatory tone and seemed to sound as confused as me about this. At first, I thought I was upsetting some over-worried parent, and being a parent myself, I felt horrible. I explained that I was just relaxing by the poolside, offered to take off my goggles to put them at ease, and even wanted to apologize to this person. The manager seemed to accept this, and presumably went back to the parent to let them know I was sorry for upsetting them. About 10 minutes passed, and the manager was back, telling me the police had arrived. I was shocked and asked if it was about me. The manager said yes, and that they wanted to talk to me. This is when I met the entitled dad for the first time. Big guy, maybe early to mid-30s and pretty buff looking. This is the only time he spoke to me, and all he said was, "You better go quietly, or I'll tell everyone here you're a pedophile." He walked away before I could reply, and the manager led me out the pool. I felt tempted to flip this Kevin the bird as I walked by, but I kept my cool and just left. I get to the locker rooms and 2 police women were waiting. Fortunately for me, they were really nice and friendly with me the whole time. After grabbing a towel, they started asking me what happened and what I was doing. I was honest and told them I was just trying to relax and had no idea I was upsetting this person just by being there. I even told them I was autistic, which led to one of the officers telling me they had a family member who was also autistic. They then asked me for my details to run me through their database. While that went on, the entitled dad walked by and one of the officers asked to talk with him. He agreed and they went elsewhere. I got changed back into my clothes, and as I was coming out the changing room, the entitled dad was in my way with his back to me. I couldn't quite hear what he was saying over the other people in the room, but I did hear him rather loudly order his kids to stay put while he went to get changed. He walked off without seeing me, and I left the locker room. The police stayed with me in the lobby until their database come back. Of course, it came back that I had no history of crime, and the gym staff had told the officers I had no history of disturbing other people and I was free to go. However, the entitled dad was hanging around near the back of the lobby, watching me. The police saw this too and offered to give me a ride home since I had walked to the gym. I accepted since I was pretty shell-shocked by the whole ordeal and worried this guy would try something on my way home. In all, this was a really scary experience, and I'm still shaking typing this. I'm just glad the manager and the police were professional enough to let me speak my piece. I should mention there were other parents in the pool who didn't care about my presence. Another dad and his kids were playing right next to me, and he didn't care. Edit. Holy cow. I did not expect this post to be seen by so many people. Thanks so much for the support, guys. Let me give you a small update. I went back to the gym today to see if the same manager was on duty. Thankfully he was, and he took me aside to explain his perspective on things. I'll call him Mike, not his real name. Apparently this Kevin seemed to be trouble from the start, being very irate with Mike as well as other staff members. The only reason it wasn't the lifeguards dealing with him was because they were scared of him, being 17 to 18 years old, and this guy was an early 30s looking buff man. Even Mike, who was roughly the same age as Kevin, was concerned with his behavior, thinking if he got near me that we'd end up throwing hands. When Mike first told him that I had offered to leave my goggles off so I wouldn't dive underwater, that apparently wasn't good enough. Then, when the police arrived, Mike had actually just told them he was concerned for my safety, nothing about the pedophile accusation. No wonder they were so nice. I then asked Mike if at any point he thought I really was a threat to the kids. He laughed and said no, saying that when I had mentioned I had kids of my own, the fact that I had offered to apologize and attempt to de-escalate things, he could tell I wasn't dangerous. He was thinking more about me being safe than whether or not I was a threat. The police seemed to think that way too. At one point after I left, the Kevin was getting mouthy again and a receptionist chewed him out for his actions. Wish I could have seen that. Then Mike asked if I made it home okay, and I told him about the police giving me a ride. Their car wasn't in sight of the building. He was relieved and hoped this event hadn't put me off coming back. I do plan to come back to this gym now since I can count on the staff to have my back now. But yeah, everything is cool now and everybody knows what a twat this guy is, so I don't think I'm in any further trouble anymore. Oh, and to answer why I left. I was given the choice whether to go or not. No one told me to leave. I was planning on leaving a few minutes before this encounter anyway, so I didn't mind too much. It was only when the police officer caught Kevin staring at me that they offered to give me a ride. Since someone in the comments suggested I ask for it, I asked if they had a police log number for what happened. Mike said they weren't given one, but offered to chase it up for me. I declined, not really wanting to put myself any further into an issue that seems more or less resolved anyway. Hope that clears a few things up. Story 5. This is an update to the last post, I suppose. Anyway, I showed my cousin the post and all the responses I've gotten from you lovely Redditors. They agreed wholeheartedly that Mother is obviously out of her mind. I also unfortunately had exposed my aunt to all the things she did not know about her own sister. Auntie got real wild up, and we all heard her having a screaming match with Mother through the group call. Here's the entitled part and an update. In the phone call, Aunt went insane on Mother, accusing her of coddling up to a pedo, of being a greedy asshole, and a bad parent. She asked Mother straight up why she thought she was entitled to move in with me and spending my hard-earned money. Mother replied, "Because if it wasn't for me, Pancakes would not meet her husband. It's because of me she should thank for. Without me, she would not be in that rich country." She continued her rant, saying that I ought to move her in with me as a way to properly thank her. She also went on about how she never knew anything about the saw I had to endure by her husband, and that she was taking money from him. No knowledge about the punishment with the hard wooden stick that I'd often get to the point I'd bleed. Not a single knowledge about me chatting and meeting up with older, foreign men for her own future, etc., etc. Not taking any accountability for anything at all. But given the fact that I'm actually adopted, Mother went on about how she didn't need to do any of that parenting stuff, as she already invested so much into me by picking me up from the hospital from my dying mother, and that my grandma was raising me, etc., etc. Then she said this: "I'm more than entitled in getting her money and being well taken care of by Pancakes. Her family doesn't matter to me. They have rich grandparents, but I am old and needed to be taken care of. It is her duty as a daughter to do it. I'm the mother, and that's the end of the discussion." I gasped really at her audacity. I didn't know what to say other than just to stay silent. My aunt's face went pale. She and her husband were shocked. My uncle chimed in and told Mother that she can quit calling herself a mother once, and for all, since she did not do anything a mother should have done for their kid. And I told her basically that she can again get that idea out of her head, and that this phone call cemented the fact even more that she'll never be able to get anywhere close to me or my family. Mother screamed down the phone, and everyone, including me, had to hang up before we would get riled up even more. I thank my cousin and her family, especially my aunt, for standing up for me. They, however, seemed to be very angry still. They did not know it was this bad. They usually see her as a caricature of a person, that's why. Story 6. A few years ago, I worked in an upscale clothing and dress shop in the capital of Scotland. I'm sure you all know where that is. Obviously, I can't mention the company's name. I was the supervisor at my store, reporting to both a manager and an assistant manager. They were decent people, although the manager could be a bit unpredictable, while the assistant manager was pretty laid back. I worked 4 days a week, and on Thursday evenings and Sundays, I was the manager in charge. Like most retail stores, we had a clear refund policy, printed on the back of the receipt, just like 99% of places. Additionally, our website had a dedicated customer service section, again like most companies. I mention this because I know refund policies can vary by country, and what we have here in the United Kingdom might be different from what you'd find in Japan or Mexico. The refund policy was straightforward. If a customer bought something and didn't like it, they had 28 days to return it for a full refund. After that, we couldn't offer a refund, but we might be able to offer an exchange of equal value. If an item was faulty, we would offer a refund, but again, only within 28 days. Sale items had a 14-day refund window. Items had to be returned in sellable condition unless they were faulty. As management, we had the right to refuse a refund if we suspected the item had been stolen, intentionally damaged, worn and returned with tags, or if it was past the allowed return period. So, enter Karen. It was a regular Thursday, and my manager had just left for the evening. I was in charge until we closed at 7 p.m. The store was moderately busy when Karen walked in and decided to make my day a little more difficult. Striding up to the counter, she dropped a bag on the till. "Hello, welcome to X. How can I help you today?" I asked. "I bought these tops, and they're just not right. I'd like my money back, please." "Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Can I ask, is there anything wrong with them? Do you have your receipt?" With a dramatic sigh, she handed over the receipt. Yes, I just don't think they're my style. I checked the receipt date, like I always did. I'm really sorry, but your receipt is out of date by 3 weeks. She glared at me, her voice rising. And so, what does that mean? Unfortunately, since you're past the 28-day refund window, I can't give you your money back. I can, however, offer you an exchange. That's ridiculous. Where does it say that? I want my money back. Internally, I was groaning another Karen. I understand, ma'am, but it's clearly stated on the back of your receipt, and it's not just a few days you're past the deadline, it's 3 weeks. I'm really sorry, but this is company policy. This is unacceptable. I don't have time to read that nonsense. You should tell us when we buy the items. I want my money back now. Ma'am, I understand your frustration, but it's our company's policy. If I made an exception for you, I'd have to do it for every other customer who is past their return date. I can only offer you an exchange. This is outrageous. This is robbery. This is fraud. That's it. I'm calling the police. I promise you, she actually pulled out her phone and started dialing emergency services. This woman thought the police would help her get a £90 refund for 2 tops. I couldn't help but laugh. Ma'am, the police won't be able to help you. This isn't fraud. I just can't give you your money back. But, as a goodwill gesture, I can refund the amount onto a gift card. Remember this part for later. She put her phone away and looked at me, annoyed. And what exactly does that do? It means I can put your refund onto a gift card, which you can use online or in store. You'll have 2 years to use it before it expires. Well, I suppose if that's all you're willing to do after I spend so much money here, that will have to do, won't it? I processed the transaction and gave her the gift card. Anything to get her out of the shop. Meanwhile, my colleague was serving other customers, and they were all amused by the scene. Karen finally left, and I continued serving customers. Afterward, I discussed the situation with my colleagues, and we were all astonished by her behavior, especially since her little girl, no more than 6 or 7, was watching. The next day, I spoke with my manager about it, and she was understanding. Sometimes, you just have to bend a little to keep the peace. Karen actually came back later that same day with her older daughter, loudly asking, "Darling, is there anything you like here? I do have this gift card to use." She gave me a dirty look, but I just shrugged it off. Fast forward 2.5 years. I had been away from work after having my daughter in 2016 and returned to work in March 2017. About 6 months later, guess who showed up again? Karen. She didn't seem to remember me, but I sure remembered her. She returned an item, and this time, it was within the allowed return period. She also wanted to buy something and suddenly remembered she had a gift card. "Oh, I have a gift card I can use. Can you check how much is on it?" I unwrapped the receipt around the card and nearly bit my cheek to keep from laughing. It was her refund receipt from 2.5 years ago. Okay, let me just scan this. That's strange. There's nothing on it. What? No, there should be something on it. I was told the gift card would last forever. Suppressing my glee, I explained, "I'm sorry, but this gift card has expired. We inform customers that they have 24 months to use them before they expire. I can see from your receipt that you were given this gift card for a refund, and it was served by me." Her face was priceless. I smiled, feeling triumph at my shop, my rules asterisk. Realizing she wouldn't win, she said, "Oh, well, I tried. You know, it really should be clearer that the gift card only lasts 24 months. You should tell customers when you give it to them." I kept my calm and responded in the friendliest tone, "Oh, we do. I always make sure to tell every customer about our policies and gift cards. It's also on the back of your receipt. And look," I showed her my name on her old return receipt. "It was me who served you, so I know I would have told you." Looking embarrassed, she muttered, "Oh, well, thanks. I have to go. Goodbye." She left so fast she could have outrun Usain Bolt. The best part? After 24 months of non-use, The credit gets deducted back to the company. If she had checked the balance at any time, the 24-month countdown would have reset. So, in the end, we kept her money, and I had a fantastic story to share.